we're joined from Cairo by Al-Akhbar daily newspaper editor-in-chief, Dr. Osama Saeed. Good evening to you, sir, and welcome to Qnews. Let me here start by asking, how significant are President Trump's remarks that negotiations over Gaza are progressing very well, given the history of failed mediation attempts in the conflict?
It is very clear that this time the United States are willing to put actual pressure to reach successful negotiations. Before the Israel mediated, and there was some kind of USA cover on Netanyahu for Netanyahu to escape his responsibilities, but this time it looks different. It looks like US President Donald Trump is very willing to reach a truce and to end this war, maybe because he wants to get the Nobel Prize for Peace, which he has said before, or also through the USA's government objectives to lessen the price of their engagement, especially with the isolation that Israel is facing, and the condemnation even from Washington's allies on USA and Israel, especially with the wave of international recognition of a Palestinian statehood, and this actually caused the USA to be some kind of embarrassed. And so I think this time that USA's President Donald Trump has said that he is very hopeful to reach negotiations and to reach peace could actually lead to an actual achievement, and it may be different from the negotiations that we have seen before that Netanyahu has failed before, and the USA didn't refuse then or put the needed pressure to actually have these negotiations be successful.
Right. What does the reported clashes between President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu reveal about the dynamics of U.S.-Israeli relations during these negotiations?
First of all, we have to put a difference between the point of views between U.S. President Donald Trump and Netanyahu when it comes to the tactics difference. It is not a democratic difference between the two countries, but maybe it is a difference when it comes to the priorities. I think that the U.S. president is done with the stalling that Netanyahu is doing to escape to escape actual negotiations to stop the war, and also Hamas's approval on the U.S. plan put pressure on Netanyahu, because when he approved the plan, he was expecting that maybe Hamas will refuse, and so he will blame them basically for the war and will reach his objective of continuing this war. And so Hamas's approval actually was unexpected, and so it caused more tension, either when it comes to him saying that he doesn't trust Hamas or that he doesn't want the Palestinian government taking control in the Gaza Strip, and other statements that the U.S. president has refused, and so them as stalling and trying to or not taking advantage of this opportunity. And so the differences between Netanyahu and Donald Trump is actually a difference when it comes to priorities, the path that they want to take and taking the path to negotiations. But it is we can say it is a difference in the democracy or politically between the two countries, because the USA is the first supporter of Israel and it protects Israel's benefits, and so it is, we can say that there is a difference that will lead to a huge transformation when it comes to USA's stance on Tel Aviv.
Right. For Trump's demand for an immediate halt to Israeli airstrikes, to what extent does this reflect a kind of shift in U.S. policy?
of course, the transformation is there, and ever since Donald Trump has proposed the plan, he's been pressuring on all sides to have a successful outcome, asking Israel to stop all its operations, especially the brutal strikes that Israel is doing on the Gaza Strip. And so this is very normal because they cannot talk about a chance to stop the war and release the detainees or have the detainee exchange deal while Israel is continuing its operations and even escalating them. For example, there are tens of martyrs that have died today only, even though there are U.S. delegations or a U.S. delegation, and there is expected to be an Israeli delegation to come to Cairo to negotiate the detainee exchange deal and stopping the war, and Israel starting to withdraw from Gaza. And so these are all indicators that show that Netanyahu isn't serious and is trying to take advantage of this opportunity to strike Gaza more or destroy it further. And so these are all negative indicators, and I think that the USA needs to take stronger measures than just asking Israel to stop its operations, its military operations on Gaza. We need actual pressure and asking Netanyahu or forcing him to comply to what the USA said and to stop the military operation so that they can have or can negotiate and have a real negotiation to decide a lot of points once and for all, especially when it comes to the data and exchange deal, and also entering the second phase of negotiations, whether it comes to the next day preparations and the Gaza Strip or the Israeli withdrawal from the Strip.
Now, how may Hamas' partial acceptance of Trump's 20-point peace proposal influence the balance of leverage between the negotiating parties?
First of all, Hamas didn't really have any choices, because if they refuse this plan, the price would be high then, and it was some kind of a new green light that the USA can give to Israel and to Netanyahu to do whatever he likes in the Gaza Strip. And so Hamas is fully responsible for what could have happened in the Strip. But of course, this approval shows a positive political transformation, even if there are some refusal to the plan, especially that the plan has some vague points and needs further negotiations and explanation. But at least Hamas's approval actually put the ball in Israel's court and changed Donald Trump's stance and put all the pressure on Israel now. And this actually benefits the mediators, especially that the Egyptian and Qatari mediators have pressured Hamas to convince them of the importance of accepting this proposal or this plan, because the mediators think of this proposal and of the agreement as a positive outcome that could really end the war. And it is a huge victory for the Palestinians to stop the bloodshedding of the Palestinians and deliver humanitarian aid that the Palestinians really need. And there is a dire need to try to save anything that can be saved in the Strip.
Finally here, Netanyahu's insistence that no provisions of the peace plan will move ahead or forward until the detainees are released. What do you have on that?
Of course, this is expected, because the main goal of this war, or at least the one that was talked about, is releasing the detainees in the Gaza Strip and having them back in the Israeli land. Maybe this plan will allow that, but we cannot stop here, especially that there are lots of mistrust when it comes to Israel's willingness, and we have they have a bad history of trying to escape their responsibilities, and we saw that with the two truces that we had in November 2023 and Jan 2025, and we also saw how Israel actually breached the truces and destroyed any path to end the war, especially after they gave back the detainees. And so yes, they don't really trust them. Netanyahu wants to get his detainees without showing endorsement for any of the other points, because, and here comes the USA's role, because with no clear law of from the UN side of having Israel comply to this plan, withdrawing from the strip to try to take actual steps to end this crisis, then we cannot have really peace, because Hamas will lose their last card basically, which is the detainee card, and so they won't have any leverage or any cards to play after that. And this may be what Netanyahu is aiming for, but the USA has to live up to its rule and respect its responsibilities on forcing the plan on all sides, and with Netanyahu on top, of course.
Right, that was Dr. Osama Saeed, Al-Akhbar daily newspaper editor-in-chief from Cairo. We thank you so much for joining us here on Q News.